Well, hello Whistle Watchers, and what a weekend of rugby action we've just witnessed. Now, let's not stand on ceremony here and let's get straight into it. Now let's start off with Whistle Watch. There's a few talking points over the weekend, but probably this has got you talking more than anything was the disallowed Faletau try. Let's look at the law first of all, and I want you to put your emotions aside. It was a wonderful try, probably one of the best tries of the Six Nations, but unfortunately it wasn't, so let's see why. Now what you can't do is jump into or over a would-be tackler. Two reasons this was brought in: player safety, because it can be dangerous, and also fairness as well. So if you imagine, if you're jumping to avoid the tackler, you're hurdling the tackler, whilst you're in the air, that tackler is not allowed to tackle you, so then it would not be fair because it's impossible to defend. I know some of you are saying, well, what about scoring the try? I will touch on that in a minute, but let's take this as the field of play. So in this instance, what we see here is Blair jumping to avoid the tackle. Now it's a little bit more of a grey area, this one, because it's not your usual running straight at him and hurling over him. He sort of moves to the side as he's getting away as well, which then will mean that the officials here have a little bit of empathy. But the law is you cannot jump to avoid the tackle. And because he's done so here, the try, no matter how great it was correctly chalked off. Now let me just cover up this for a bit of confusion around it. When you're actually in air, so you're diving or going airborne to score a try, that is allowed because your actions are not to jump to avoid the tackler, although you may be doing that. That's not what your initial actions are. They are to dive in to score a try. And because of that, we allow that in the act of scoring. Also as well, whilst a player is airborne, the defender is allowed to tackle and to prevent him scoring the try, which may technically mean he's actually tackling him whilst he's in the air, but that is allowed because we allow the action of diving to score the try. But the important thing is here, if you think a player, whether in field or near the try line, is actually jumping to avoid the tackle, that's his first offence, then that would be a penalty. But if he's actually going to score a try, and whilst doing that he's going airborne, and which means he's out of the grasp of a would-be tackler, like we saw with Tom Rogers for example, then that try would be okay. So I hope that clears it up. A little bit of time spent on that because it's quite a grey area when you look at it for the try line and in the field of play. Wales Scotland again, Will Griffjohn, yellow card. Yeah, good decision by the referee here. It's cynical. So he's offside, he hasn't gone behind the offside line, he's still offside and then sticks his boot out to prevent the pass or to knock the ball out of the player's hand. Very cynical and a clear yellow card without any doubt whatsoever. Now, another one that certainly got us talking in commentary, but a lot of you talking as well. The Ben Thomas, was there an action of an eye gouging there? Well, let's have a look at it. When you look at the pictures, his hands are certainly around the eye areas, but what he's not doing, he is not putting him in there to gouge a player. He's actually landed up like that because of the actions of fending off with a handoff. And because it's a handoff, yes, the hands go around the eye area, and yes, you can see the hands are like that, pushing a player off, but they're not going in the eyes in a gouging action, and that is the key difference. So no gouging, no foul play. Good clearing up by the match officials and the TMO on that instance in checking it in the first place. Let's head over then to Ireland, France. Oh, what a game of rugby. I didn't see that result coming, did you? Now, what about the Tadburn and Andrew Porter clear out on Dupont? Yes, the best player in the world with a serious injury, but I want you to put that aside for a minute. To get the motions out of it for a second, we need to look at the actions of Tadburn. Is what he's doing legal? Now, if he's illegal in any way, or leading with a shoulder coming in, then he would be in big trouble. But if you look at his actions, he comes in, he's getting the arm up to clear out like everybody would in the contact era, so we have no illegal action here. And then what happens next is very unfortunate and a rugby collision, rugby accident. Whilst he's come in legal, Andrew Porter then comes behind, as you would do to support, and then when he does that, unfortunately, it means that Tadburn now has made contact with Dupont, and Dupont's foot is stuck by a player in the ground and underneath a player, and then it causes the unfortunate incident. So, to wrap it all up for you, the actions of Tadburn are not illegal, they're not dangerous, they're not reckless, they're not foul play. It is just an unfortunate rugby collision. And just remember as well, the TMO would have been checking all this in the background as you heard the referee, quite rightly so, explaining to the then next French captain on the field, of why the decision was dealt with as it correctly was. Also, I'm sure we all wish Antoine Dupont all the very best in his recovery as well, and anybody else for that matter who has been injured over the weekend or the course of the Six Nations, of course. We'll stick in Ireland, France as well. And what about the Nash yellow card? Why wasn't it upgraded via the bunker to red? Well, we do have head contact, so we do have a yellow card. We have the threshold. He goes to the bunker. And the decision, quite rightly so, is that this was a passive action. So it's not a high degree of danger. And therefore, we land up with a correct yellow card and nothing more. And that's it for Whistle Watch. I hope that's helped up clear the debate around a lot of those incidents. Let's go now to your Emirates Fans Questions. Right, let's have a look at the first question, and this comes from at Celticwiz17. Nigel, question about England-Italy game. When Mario Toji dived over the ruck on the try line, should Italy have had penalty for a dangerous play? Well, if you think any part of the game or any play is dangerous, then it would be a penalty, yes. Now, there's a bit of confusion here, a bit of grey area, maybe something going, well, where's the consistency? You can dive over the ruck to score the try. So you pick the ball up, the ruck is in front of you, the try line's there, you can dive over to score a try. The law allows you to do that. Whilst you're doing that, you still can be tackled, even though you are in the air. And what you can't do is dive over a ruck to tackle a player. So imagine that a player is picking up the ball, and as he's picking up the ball, somebody dives over to tackle him. You can't be doing that. That is illegal. But diving over to score the try, yes, that is legal. And then we move on to at Tinshot Day, I think so you say it. Right, about the conversion, something that has always surprised me about professional rugby is that the referees seem to be nonchalant, a good word, about the location for the conversion. When I played as a kid, the referee would signal the try at the goal line and then walk in a straight line so it is obvious where to take the conversion from. Amen, I say. Now, what probably has happened now, in the past, you always got in goal to award the try. Even though if you were running behind, you'd get in goal, you'd award the try, and you'd walk back in line where it was scored. There was no doubt whatsoever where the conversion was to take place. 100% agree with you. But I think what's happened now in the modern game, you have the TMO. And what happens is this. So maybe the referee is 5, 6, 8 meters behind play when the try is scored. And then because the TMO can check if the grounding was fine, the referee happy with it, he gives a try, and then he'll turn around and walk back instead of going to the try line and walk back. So that's a very good point, particularly after what we discussed last week in the England-Scotland game. A very, very good point. Referees get to the try line, award the try, and walk back in a straight line, so there'll be no doubt whatsoever of where the conversion is to take place. Andy Firth, 59-31. Would love to know Nigel's opinion on the Six Nations break weekends. Are they good for the players or the tournament, or would it be better to run on 5 straight weekends with no breaks? I think what you need to take into account is player safety. So is playing international rugby week in, week out, is that going to be good for the game as far as player safety goes? So that's a point to take into consideration. I also maybe for the fans, the travelling week in, week out as well. I quite like the format as it is now. I like it. It gives an opportunity for some players then who are not involved in the match day squads to go back to their clubs to play during those fallow weekends. So I quite like it the way it is now. And that's it for your Emirates Fans Questions this week. Thanks for sending them in, and keep doing so because I love answering them. Now, what's been your favourite moment of the Six Nations weekend just gone? Let me know in the comments below, but let me tell you what mine are. What about that try out in Dublin? Luis Bielbiari's try, typical of the French flair and the way they play the game at the moment. Lovely flowing move, clever kick, and what a stunning try. He is some player, and the French really are on form at the moment, aren't they? And what about Angus Gardner as well? Very well managed game in Dublin, and congratulations on your 50th Test match as well. You've been about a few years now, Angus. Time is catching up. 50 caps, good God. Roll on to the next 50, eh? Jamie George as well now then. What about Jamie George? What a wonderful player to referee, and been a great servant for England and for Saracens as well. Congratulations on your 100th cap as well. I hope you don't come to Cardiff on Saturday and celebrate with the win, but it'll be 101st cap and we'll see what happens. Me and Marie now then. Have you seen Ellis, me and Murray giving out their match shorts after the game? I'm glad they remember to put their underwear underneath mine, taking the shorts off like that in the stadium and handing them to the spectators. Well done, you boys. What a great gesture from great rugby players and rugby people as well. Now then, how many times have we seen a player going to celebrate before he's actually grounded the ball to score a try? A big lesson here for you. Don't celebrate until the ball is down and the referee has blown his whistle, because in the Ireland France under-20s, what happens here with Noah Traversier? He thinks he's under, he starts celebrating, but the tackler comes behind and dislodges the ball, and no try. So instead of celebrating, he's left a bit red-faced. Well, with France defeating Ireland, England getting a bonus point against Italy, it's all going to come down to the final weekend of the Six Nations on the Super Saturday, is what we all want. What a day of rugby is going to be. Who is going to lift that title? There'll be no Grand Slam, of course, but there'll be a championship to somebody. I reckon France at home, on song, they'll get the 5 points, and I think they've got enough of a points difference, so I do fancy France for the title. But what do I know? I thought it was Ireland at the beginning of the season, but I think it's France's now. That's it for Whistle Watch. We'll be back next week to round up the final weekend. Send in your Emirates fans questions, and I'm sure we'll have some discussion points on Whistle Watch segment itself. Till then, bye-bye.